right.
All right. Bannock County Commissioners are now in session on Thursday, March 13th, a beautiful rainy day out there. Glad everybody could make it, and everybody's hair looks like it's okay, so we're good to go today. First on the agenda will be Dan. Come on up, Dan. This is marked for a potential executive session, but I spoke with Dan and Matthew, and I don't think we'll need that unless you feel like it's appropriate.
What do you think?
Let's avoid names if we can, and if we can't, then we can jump into.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, floor is yours, Dan.
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director. I've been working with Matt and Christy, working on kind of a restructure of the positions in my department. Over the past year, we've tried to develop more of a structure where people can come in and develop themselves and work their way up over the years. And we kind of had a mismatch, a mess of job descriptions, and Matthew's worked hard on straightening that out and kind of developing a ladder of positions and ways to improve themselves. So the ask today is just to improve the structure of the positions.
Matthew Phillips, HR Director. And part of this ties into Dan having an open position and a preferred candidate. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. And that person has quite a bit of experience. So he didn't really fit the bill as a maintenance technician. So I think the proposal really is to create a maintenance specialist position that would be above the current maintenance technicians. Is essentially the essence of the changes. The number of budgeted positions is not going to change. It would still be 5. It's just adding another level, so it would assist Dan as well in bringing in this additional position, or this additional person.
It'll also, we'll also be reducing one position. One position is budgeted currently to grade 12, and the person in that position is only a grade 8. So we're going to move that position down to a grade 8. So basically the grade 12 is going to get moved down to a grade 9. So we're just kind of doing a reshuffle of positions. So we'll currently have a grade, we'll still have Dan, we'll still have Danny Whitworth, and I said not to use names, but these are, I mean, these are people that are in positions that are
established.
Anyways, sorry. I'm a little foggy today. We're going to have still the manager position, the assistant manager position. We'll have 2 maintenance, 2 technician positions. And then the big ask is just to move the maintenance tech position to a maintenance specialist 1, which is a grade 9. So we'll have a grade 15, 12, 2 8s, and a 9. So money-wise, it works out that it'll fit within the budget dollars with some money left over. Next year, depending on what we do with the budget, there still should be some remaining budgeted dollars left over. So we're fitting all of the positions within the current budget with a little bit of savings.
Well done.
Thank you, guys.
Well done. Any questions?
Yeah. I still have some concerns about that, about what's going on. And I went up and talked to Matthew about all this too. But when we have somebody that we're hiring and we're changing jobs and pay rate, salaries and stuff like that, it bothers me a little bit because we're setting kind of a precedence here a little bit. And it's something that we got to be very wary of. We have a lot of job openings, and I've been hit in a lot of other departments. Well, I didn't fill this position, so I want to give this person the money, and it's good for a year, maybe 2, and then we start feeling the pinch and the crunch on them. I like the system. I like the way that you manage your people, but it's still one of them deals that I just got to voice my concerns that it's one of them deals in the middle of a budget, and we're a month and a half away from starting a new budget year. I'm preparing for it, and so it's just one of them deals that I'll throw out there because anybody else brings it before me, I'm going to question.
How do you think it's going to overall? Do you see any other foot falling that maybe somebody
gets disenchanted with what was going on because they didn't get any compensation move or whatever it is. I'm trusting your judgment on that. What, do you feel like this is in the best possible move, not only for today, but for the future?
I think for the future, what I like to avoid is making a hire and then maybe realizing their skill level wasn't where I thought it was. I would rather go the other route and start them low and just give them the opportunity to improve themselves. So we put certifications on there and years of experience so they can work their way up. I'd rather go that way than the other way, because you can't really go down. But.
And this is a thought-out, methodical, structured plan that allows for growth. There's more positions within this scheme than we're going to utilize, but it allows for the department to grow and change as it may need to, or if it doesn't need to, the structure's there. Just however the board sees that we need to move that department in whichever direction we need to.
I don't see any reason to go against your recommendation yet. You know,
Maybe tomorrow, but
yeah,
today you're good.
I mean, obviously, budgeting season is going to be coming around in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But if you feel like this is your best recommendation, I have no reason to go against it.
We kind of had a mess going on over the years, just different descriptions, and Matthew's really kind of straightened that out for us.
Yeah, previously there's been like 3 or 4 different maintenance tech titles and positions, and this would just more standardize it. And then also, I think in the past there's been maybe trying out what are called individual career development plans, which are briefly mentioned in our handbook, but not very well described. And this would open up growth to the entire department, not just one person. So that's why we kind of built it more as a structured career ladder, if you will, within the kinds and levels system, with actual verifiable third-party ways to say this is how you would have to, progress to the next level. So, but even then, even if they do get those certifications, it's all going to depend on the amount of budgeted positions available. But so part of it was an attempt to clean up several job positions and titles into just a more structured, organized system that we could build into the kinds and levels wage system.
Okay.
And communicate to the entire department how they could grow.
And through the budget process is when it can be asked, hey, I think this person is getting to this point, might need to budget this here or there, and then the commission can approve or deny based on funding.
Well, I love it. I think it's a great job. Well thought out. Again, I applaud you for working with the team to put together a good plan. So I would make a motion that we approve the request and move forward with it. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Go forth, do great things. Diane, or she doesn't have to be here.
She doesn't need to be here.
No, so
Nope.
Diane, the district court has a copier that is no longer working and they would like to get rid of it. Any issues with them allowing them to do that?
No. Make a motion to approve the, get rid of it.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Scott and friends. Who do you want to start with, Scott?
Let's start, we'll go down the list. I think it's the Monster School. So Shayla here? Come on up. Scott Crowler, Event Director, Business Manager. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Shayla Beard. I'm with Pocatello Valley Montessori School.
You want to describe the event you're looking at hosting up there?
So we're hoping to rent a pavilion at the Portneuf Wellness Center as well as the walking paths, or use the walking paths to host a 5K fundraiser run for the Pocatello Valley Montessori School. The objective of this 5K would be to provide funds to the school for teacher enrichment, as well as create awareness for autism by incorporating early intervention booths and other individuals that could help inform parents on options that are available for kids with autism things that could be done regarding like dietary changes and school options for those parents that may not know.
So like many of the 5Ks that we do, there would be a pavilion rental along with that. So they're requesting the fee waiver of the pavilion rental, which is $100, and then the use of the complex, which does not impact. Like for the 5Ks, we don't shut down the walking path to everybody else. So the general public can still use it. However, they would like the fee waiver for the pavilion waived.
Questions, thoughts?
Just the general cleanup. You got some agreements there?
So with the pavilions, pavilion rentals, we'll throw out some garbage cans. We don't require them to change their garbage. It just, we'd like it to be cleaned up. But from the time that they use it to when they leave, any member of the public that does not reserve it can come and use it. So it's hard for us to require or to double check that they do that. We just send our folks around to empty the garbages and clean up every day regardless.
Okay.
It's well within the mission of what we're trying to do up there. I applaud your actions on that. Thank you.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion then.
I would make that motion that we, I guess, approve and sign the waiver on the contract for the Pocatello Valley Montessori School.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Okay, have a great event. Thank you.
All right, let me grab Norma. Norma's in the back. Come on, Norma, forgot our hearing aids. So we'll just have to talk loudly, speak loudly.
She's a lot drier than when I seen her come in the building.
It's kind of wet out there.
Yeah. So Norma represents the Chaparrals Riding Group. They're a Pocatello, or a regionally based riding group. They do a couple of different events up at the complex. They're requesting a fee reduction of half price for the rental of arena number 2 for a handful of days. One thing we did, we changed the fees just to give you a little bit of history on that. It used to be an hourly rental for the arenas, but it cost us 2 hours worth of rentals to pay to groom them. And so we changed the fee to be a 4-hour rental. So they're requesting to rent it for 2 hours a night, but they would like to pay essentially for the 2 hours, which does cover our costs. But that's about it. So when we initially talked about that, we asked that the Chaparrals come with us with a volunteer option to help reduce or to help improve the complex, so that the fee will pay the cost to groom the arenas. However, we would like them to help better the venue. And so you guys talked about the volunteers.
Yes.
And so what were your volunteers going to do for the?
Well, I think they talked about after the horse races to come up and help clean up the fairgrounds after that.
Mm-hmm.
Or after maybe the rodeo, do something after the rodeo. Any of the things that would entail, our club would help with the maintenance of, the cleanup and everything. And we're not above cleaning out stalls.
We'll use you there.
Yeah. So, and that is, I mean, the rodeo arenas, they do get used a lot. They get kind of beat up a little bit, and so any help we have keeping or maintaining those things is greatly appreciated. We definitely have more time up there than we have volunteers, and so any additional volunteers helps us out a lot.
I think it'd be good for them to participate during high school rodeo and junior high rodeo, so it lets their club, lets people interact both together. So if you could find something at that time, I think that'd be a good opportunity.
So he's saying that during some of our events like the high school rodeo,
Yeah.
have you guys come up and help us to
Yeah.
take care of things.
Most of the club works in the daytime, but after maybe 4 o'clock, we could get somebody up there. But most of us work, I don't work, but most of the club does work in the daytime.
Okay,
That's for me.
We'd be free in the evenings.
okay. You want to make that motion then?
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and make the agreement for half fee for the Chaparral Riding Club.
Have a motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello.
You can make.
Ren,
Yeah, you say.
thank you.
You say.
Thank
Find an umbrella.
Okay. Next, we will go to, let's go to the Bob Conley Invitational. So we have Doug and Travis.
I'm Doug Hopster. I'm the meet director for the Bob Conley Invitational for Highland High School.
Travis Bell, athletic director at Highland High School.
So we've been running the Bob Conley up there for
8 years.
8 years. It's a great event. The only thing I know, it's something that we had talked about, Commissioner Bullock, about this is the only event where we actually charge admission to get into our parking lot. So they do run a paid parking service. We don't close any of our parking lots down. So I don't want to let the secret out, but people can still come in through the other entrances. They just charge a fee at the one entrance. But they've been doing that to offset costs to raise a little bit of revenue for that for several years.
But that was just for participants.
Right.
It's always just been just
We
for
always check.
participants.
We always have our people checking to make sure anybody who wants to use the facility, we do not charge. In fact, we're pretty selective in who we actually charge. If there's any reason that they don't need to pay, we don't charge them.
Since the Bob Conley's been coming up there, the venue has really turned into a hot spot for cross-country track and field meets. Last year we had another meet that just showed up out of the blue. We didn't know about it. It was a massive meet. We just have, honestly, thousands of people show up. So I think this is good for the venue. It gets a lot of people out there. And again, I think this does help us meet our mission. So, and then we don't charge them any fees for this.
A little bit. We pay, I think, $400.
It pays $7,000.
It says 500 here on the contract.
Was it 500? Okay, 500. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great event. It's a good partnership between us, and I love how it brings in people from all over, so.
My only question is if this is the only event that we charge, quote, parking fee or whatever, is there a better word for that? I know some organizations, they say a donation of, or is there anything that we really should be aware of? If we just say parking fee, how do you arbitrarily go, yeah, you're gonna pay it, but you're not? I just don't want something come back on us that,
Sure.
okay,
So we will.
some other event.
We will have paid preferred parking for concerts next
Okay.
year. But that will be in the lot that we have rented from, or leased from Idaho Power.
Okay.
So there will be some spots where people will have like a preferred parking, and they'll be paying for that, but that will not in any way prohibit ADA or regular visitor access to general lots.
We could change it to saying event admission, because all high school events, in fact, this is a pretty cheap for a high school event. We could change it to Bob Conley admissions and do it that way, if that would be better.
And then if somebody comes that aren't a part of that, it's an easy, okay, then,
Yeah.
So I would prefer doing that than just saying
Okay.
parking $5.
Okay.
you
And
know,
it is
so.
just $5, like he said. Most of our events throughout the state are $7 one adult,
Yep.
$5 kid, and we charge $5 a car.
It's like the old drive-in, as many as you can stuff in, right?
I just want to clarify that we are not charging.
No.
It's the event that is using the facility.
And we,
So
so
that's why
next,
if you would put that particular word or a high school event, admission, then it
Okay.
clears us a little bit.
we'll do that from now on. And so, just a little history on this. So every third year, we host the Idaho High School Activities Association State Cross Country Meet. And when we did the bid for the meet, one of the stipulations was that we could charge for parking. We'll change that to admission as well. And so that's one of the big reasons why they awarded us the ability to do that. So next year, we're going to actually be coming, asking to host the state meet again. We do that every 3 years.
Wonderful.
So with that, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and sign this agreement and authorize Highland High School to, I don't know if you call it, have the event, not necessarily, you're not really renting anything, you're just actually using the course and everything else, so.
And you guys have the pavilion, right? You guys use the pavilion.
So the
and then-
pavilion come with.
So we use the pavilion for the state meet, so
Yeah.
for the Bob Conley, we don't. So this year, we
Okay.
won't be asking for we don't ask for the pavilion, but next year, we'll be asking for the
Okay.
pavilion as well.
Okay,
Okay,
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have a good meet, guys.
thank
Can I
you.
add one thing? We just finished the state tournament. It was amazing. Thank you for the waiver. We did, the numbers, they helped 11 different student athletes, EMS, and actually 2 fans went down, which was a huge, they transported 2 fans actually. So huge blessing in the state. IHSA, thank you very, very much.
Wonderful. Good, thank you.
That's a great tournament.
Thank you.
That's a state wrestling tournament.
Yeah,
Love it.
I've been to that cross-country thing, and holy cow, the runners are everywhere.
Okay, the next one we will go with is Tyler. Tyler Jenkins here? Nope, not yet. Okay, then we will go with Quinn. Lynette, come on up if you'd like. So these two contracts are actually very similar between one's high school District 4, one's high school District 8. Our county has both districts, has representatives of both districts, and so both districts run their high school rodeo meets. And I know you guys run in like, what is it, 2 or 3 different locations?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're one of the locations for both groups, although District 8 tends to run a little bit, or District 4 runs a little bit more than District 8 does. So, so on this event, we're requesting a fee reduction to pay for, or for $920 for the use of the facilities, and it's usually our lower arenas. This is indoor because of the weather, and then they'll provide tractor drivers and stuff. But so that is the request from these guys. Are you doing the toughest qualifier too? Okay. So we'll just do this one for now. So it's essentially a 50% reduction in their fees.
No, I think it's a great deal. Some of you come in here and take care of business. And
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
very positive for them.
Thoughts, questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so then we have 2 contracts before us, then one for the District 8 and HPC District 4. So I would move that we approve both of those. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the second one is like during junior high state finals and high school state finals, when people are kind of coming and going. Lynette runs another event up there. You want to talk a little bit about that one? The MJ Toughest Qualifier.
Yeah, it's a youth qualifier for kids to go compete in Las Vegas during the NFR, so the first week of December. I've held this event now for probably almost 6 years up in Pocatello, so, and right between the junior high and the high school state finals. And it's been well attended the last quite a few years, so. And everybody enjoys being able to use the upper arena with the grandstands and that.
What events do you have in this toughest qualifier?
There is calf roping, breakaway roping, barrel racing, goat tying, and team roping.
Oh, okay.
It's not MMA.
Well, I was thinking it was a bull riding one, so that's why I was asking.
No
It is?
stock.
So one of the things that some of the contractors love to do, and it's a huge benefit for the kids that come and do it, especially the kids that are going to compete the next week on the same ground in the same location.
Exactly.
So it actually gives some of the kids that attend these meets a pretty decent leg up in state finals. So I think it's a great event. From our standpoint, we're not going to we're not going to change any of the structure of the venue up there. All the stall rentals, everything for that really probably nearly a month period of time are locked down. And so this is an event that fits into that program for us. Doesn't really cost us a lot to manage the event. So and we like having them there.
Cool.
So how tough are they?
It depends.
That's a good
It's a
answer.
rodeo, they're pretty
Grab a
tough.
hold of a dog's truck and pull it around the arena. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agreement for the tough rental.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thanks. See you guys. That's us for the day, so thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Better sign this up before I get in trouble.
Yeah. Wes?
Good morning, Wes Jones, Bannock County Office of Emergency Management. I'm providing some handouts, and what I've got in front of everybody is going to be a total breakdown of all the projects and things that we're working on currently, as well as we have an attachment here, which is part of our education, community awareness, and engagement activities. And so, instead of going down through every single thing that we've got and what we're undertaking and working towards, the two areas I want to focus on today are the things that were probably going to benefit the county and the response elements within Bannock County the most. And the first is a joint task with Idaho State University, in which Idaho State University secured a BRIC grant, which is Building Resilient Infrastructure and Capacities. And what that does is it's intended to help improve the emergency management components within any county or state element based upon the data and the analysis of what they compile and what they put together. So the activities that ISU is undertaking is doing the analysis, doing the compilation of the data, and the benefit for us is we get to utilize that data to enhance and improve the program, more specifically for requesting additional grant fundings coming back to help us support in the areas that we need. For example, if we recognize and we realize the GIS department needs additional support and assistance to help develop wildland-urban interface maps, or to provide support to the rural addressing system so the first responders can respond to those areas, or if there's any component that GIS needs that they don't have the funding or the resources to bring them up to a compliance level or to meet the needs of the county or the response elements, we can request grant funds to go after the support to put those things in place. Because what this data does, it gives us the justification. And so we're also using ISU to help build out more towards, let's go back to the 3 tasks, I got them listed there. Find it. You have to excuse me, my page, I kept this one because it was wet, and it's kind of hard to understand.
What? I thought it was just me.
Oh, hey, a dry one. Thanks, Christy, you're a lifesaver, as usual. And when I don't have my glasses.
Want some?
Yeah, I might need to.
I got my really cute ones.
Okay, for the first task is to improve alertness and awareness capacity through enhancing network coordination and management in the region. A key focus being citizen engagement. So if Commissioner Huff and Commissioner Mosier, if you remember back when we went to the Idaho Association of Counties meeting and the Idaho Office of Emergency Management and the Cybersecurity Conference, and they talked about a lot of the things that they want to have undertaken. It's that community engagement and participation. So part of that, we've prepared 37 different handouts, very similar to this type of a format, but it's more specific to the hazards that we encounter. And they also address different levels of the community. So we've got information out there for the youth, for schools, for families, for community type events. And this one specifically is for Ready, Set, Go. This is the template and the format the Southeast Idaho Fire Chiefs Association has put together. This is the nationwide standard. So a lot of the problems that were identified in previous natural disasters or type 2 incidents or type 1 incidents across the United States, it was very apparent that the community's awareness and involvement and what their role and their responsibility is was lacking. So even from a national level, the Director of Homeland Security and Region 10 FEMA Director realized we need to put more funds and efforts towards informing and educating the community at large. So collectively, from a fire perspective and standpoint, this is the document that we're utilizing in providing within all the counties here within Southeast Idaho. The Southeast Idaho Fire Chiefs Association is comprised of those fire departments that are listed on the back. And so what this fire action plan does is provide guidance and direction to the community of what to do and how to prepare for wildland fires, and more specifically, if you live in a wildland urban interface area, what you can do for defensible spaces and the things that you can do for that. So it's ready, set, go, and this is the standard and format, so we're trying to get as much of this out there within the communities as we possibly can. So to do so, we've partnered with Southeast Idaho Council of Government because they have very similar missions and responsibilities specific to emergency management. They call it disaster management. And with ISU and then those public safety departments that we work with, it's a consolidated effort to move forward and do what we can to educate the communities.
So how many of them pamphlets do you have, you said?
We have about 37 different types, and we initially purchased 1,000 of these, and we've gone through about 850. And so when we share these with fire departments and communities, they hand it out, and a lot of the nonprofit organizations, we provided it to them, the churches, even South County cities. So we've provided this to the mayors and the fire departments in South County, and they're handing it out to the communities. We've also got 2 volunteers that we're working with in South County that's going door to door and working on a program called Map Your Neighborhood, which that does is actually provide a capability in which the build up for resources and support for any emergency starts at the very bottom level.
I think this would be a good deal to have a booth at our fair.
Oh, yeah.
And that'd be an excellent area to hit the county.
Yeah,
And
and
represent
we've
the
got,
county.
and you'll see all the community awareness campaigns and the emergency preparedness fairs that we have listed on the first page. That's what we have currently, and we can add those as we go. The other problem is, since it's just Karen and myself, we have to pick and choose the dates that we can attend and put things in place, but that's the primary focus. That second task with ISU is update building codes, working in coordination with the city staff within the county, which includes completing legal feasibility studies and cost-benefit analysis. Now, Professor Q has been working primarily with a lot of the planning and zoning departments at the county level, city level, and he's more in tune to with what they do and what their support needs are. So it's like, I don't have a clue. You guys go do what you need to do, but based upon the data that they compile, we can come back and make recommendations and how that rolls out. The third task is what benefits the most on this BRIC grant with ISU. Work with the county's Office of Emergency Management and conduct a capacity diagnosis analysis to develop capacity enhancement opportunities through partnership with Idaho State University. So what we're trying to do, since we're limited on resources to actually meet the intent of all of the Homeland Security initiatives and requirements, we want to share that component with similar like agencies that want to do the same thing for partnerships to enhance and enrich the communities. So with SCOG and their resources and with ISU and their resources, we can share what we need to do to build out that capacity, not only to implement and develop, to maintain and move forward. So we're taking all that data from their hard work and using it for our benefit. So that's one of the biggest things that we're working on with ISU in this BRIC grant. Any questions on the BRIC grant and what we're doing with ISU?
You've got a kickoff meeting when, did I see?
We already did that.
Okay.
So what I do is I'll use bullet items as we go down through here, because I don't want to put SMART objectives in there because it takes a lot of space. So I'll try to track things through with a bullet for begin date, current status,
Oh, yeah, it was back
future
in-
activities.
back in
and
October,
Plug
yeah.
that in. And you'll notice it's a small font because we really truly support the Paper Reduction Act. The other project that we're working on is geared more towards the volunteer departments in South County, in which we help them develop and increase their capacity. Starting in, I think it was November of '24, Sheriff Manu and I met with all the South County elected officials because Sheriff Manu wanted to get a better understanding of what resources were currently available and what we needed to do to enhance the engagement process and the activities that would provide a safer community across the board. And some of the things that came from that is one of the first things we started working on is the Map Your Neighborhood project. And so with that Map Your Neighborhood project, it starts from the individuals, their immediate family, their neighbors, and it builds out to the communities. And then from the communities, it goes up the typical process for any type of emergency to the non-government organizations and those services. And then if it's a large enough incident, it builds up and goes to the elected officials. And if it's beyond the capacity and capability of the city and the elected officials, they're reaching out for support to the county. But the problem is a lot of the community doesn't understand that process and how that rolls out. So there's always a perception, well, if we've got this situation going on, let's call the sheriff, or let's immediately call the county commissioners. And so through the Map Your Neighborhood project activities, they can take a community, segregate it, sectionalize it, find somebody who is in charge, and they can do immediate notifications. They can help each other. And then they also become a part of the outcomes of whatever they build for the community. So it's more of a total engagement and an enrichment process to understand what do we have, what are our strengths and our weaknesses. We've got 2 volunteers working on that project, and then we've also got a lot of support from the churches in that area. And so what we're doing is sharing the concepts from what the church has in place and what Map Your Neighborhood actually provides. So we're putting that all together, and that's one of the biggest build-outs. And then at the same time, they identified a need for centralized rally point or a location in which they could all come together. And so that's why they're wanting to use the McCammon Fire Station as a command post or a rally point or a location everybody in South County can come to, not only for training, community events, more large-scale incidents. So it's a centralized location to form that think tank and do what they need to do. And so as they build that out and work in that direction, I'll be using Homeland Security funds to help put together the command post, as well as supporting the training section for the fire department.
Cool. I like the outreach.
Yeah, and this is probably going back to your request for strengthening and consolidating South County, so that's some of the stuff that we've been working towards, and it's starting to materialize. It takes time.
That it does. That it does. I like it. And I'm on that grant with ISU Task 3 capacity diagnosis. Help me understand what the capacity diagnosis is going to show to us a little bit more, if you would. Is it like firefighting capacity, emergency services capacity?
It's across the board, specific to emergency management. So with emergency management, we've got 32 core capabilities that we have to look at. And those are summarized within prevention, protection, mitigation, planning, response, and recovery. The one area that always gets the focus is the response element. And if we spend more time in the front end for those potential disasters and those hazards, it minimizes the costs associated with the response and the continuation to the recovery. So they'll be taking a look at, well, how are we working towards community awareness to make sure the community knows what to do and when to do, and how's that being handled so that it goes back into, it minimizes the response and the needs for resources if they understand what to prepare for. What's the communication process? How do we do the notification? What do they mean by implementing protective actions? What are the resources that are available? So through that consolidated effort, they say, oh, how are we doing here? Little things like I alluded to, talking about some of the things with the GIS department. So if we find out that we don't have standardized wildland urban interface maps, or if the federal government has different maps, or the state of Idaho Department of Lands has a separate map, or we have 9 fire departments with several different maps, that would, a light should turn on and say, wait a minute, we have no standardization. So they'll be taking a look at a lot of those different things, and the input's going to be coming from not only subject matter experts, but the expert performers on this is where we need help, or this is our deficiencies, or
What's the
that type
estimated
of
time
stuff.
of
So they're just
completion
gonna-
on that?
What's that?
What's the estimated time of completion on that?
Next fall.
Next fall? Cool.
But then we're under a 30-day moratorium to stop doing anything in regard to federal grants because they want to evaluate the reimbursement process. We can still spend funds and submit reimbursement requests, but keep in mind, they may or may not be slowed down.
Okay. Good. Any other questions for Wes?
What was the size of the grant that was given to ISU?
4.8 million? Is that what that says?
Yeah, I think it's,
4.8 million.
no, that was one for Pocatello.
Oh, yeah. that was-
That's the
Yeah,
one.
I just see where the grant was awarded by ISU, on October 29th. It just doesn't ever say how much it was.
Dan, right off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Well, I don't feel bad for not reading it then.
So, but I'd give you those numbers.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just curious on that. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Wes. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll go back in the rain.
Hey, would you leave one more of those books, or do we have an extra book around here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll leave these here up on the corner too.
I want to dry one.
One's dried out now, but
Oh, okay. Kyle?
Morning, Kyle Brewster, Public Works Director. Just here for a little bit of update and any questions you might have. Kind of wanted to start out with our noxious weed department and give you a little update what's going on there. A little clarification on, we deal with it's called the UICWMA, and I know you guys we've done this every year, but just to kind of give you a little bit back on that, that's the Utah and Idaho Cooperative Weed Management Area. So we work with 3 other different counties, and there is a couple counties out of Utah, but we don't usually cross over, but that's just if any infestation was going to cross the border or something. But being part of this program gives us access to grant funding. So this is where we get our cost share for chemicals to give to the public and stuff like that. It also gives us a way to work amongst BLM and forest and stuff to be able to get grant funding for some of the noxious weed problems. What we usually do is Franklin's over it, and so they apply for the grants and stuff like that. We usually, if there's anything that's going to, besides if there's a match on the grant, I make sure that we're not applying for anything before coming to the commission that's going to acquire any funding or anything like that. Most of the time it's done through the people applying. So our cost share program is a match. So we asked for 60,000. We haven't been approved for any of these yet, but
we asked for 60,000. Usually what happens, we can get $60,000 worth of chemical, and the 30,000 of that usually is for the cost share is from the people applying it. We put the hours down, and so there's no cost to the county. But that's what we're asking for, is around 60,000 in chemical. And the other big project we have going on is with all the Dyers Wold.
How'd you know that was coming up?
We've got a plan, and we're pretty sure we'll get approved for it, but having a helicopter fly, and the first phase of it will be from this Black Rock Gap area down through Ingham. There's a little bit of side stuff like around Inman and stuff like that, that's Forest Service and stuff, but so there's no cost to us. We would be the lead on that project. Of the chemical would be sent to us. We would make sure that the chemical got to the helicopter, and that would be pretty much our only ask for Bannock County. The other stuff would be Kathy's getting contacts with some of the private property owners that it would be involved to. So we're doing a little bit with our personnel, but there's no cost to us. And it's looking at spraying over an area over 2,000 acres, but we'll pretty much be spraying just a little over 400 acres. But that would consist of everything along the interstate, all through that towards Ingham.
So ITD's good with us going along the interstate and railroad?
That's what they're working with, yeah. There's certain restriction of how close they can be flying to certain things, so it kind of limits some spots, but that's what they're working on right now, is to get that accessibility. But any questions with them program?
Nope.
We just got a nice looking from my email, one on the concern about Mormon crickets and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'll forward that email to you and see. I thought there was a grant that was available. I can't remember reading it all, but anyway, there's concerns about Mormon crickets and stuff, and especially
we've been lucky. They've been having some problems in Malad area and kind of hitting in different areas.
Franklin County was terrible too.
So we haven't got that yet. Maybe we can get the seagulls from the landfill to come in and help us out.
I just found that, so I'll forward that email to you, Kyle.
You got enough seagulls up there?
Yeah, we can herd them down.
I'm sure there's a story.
Some of the other stuff that's going on with the weed is, I want to say thanks to Matthew and stuff for setting up some of the job fair stuff. Us and other departments will be involved in next week. The weed and road and bridge and mosquito are going to be involved with that, and see what we can do for getting people hired. And like I say, thanks for the work involved with that. And then environmental fairs coming up next month, which landfill and weed and stuff gets involved to try to get it out to the public information. So what's kind of going on there. On road and bridge, we're working with Daniel on doing some of the gravels and stuff for some of these new buildings. They've run into some fun on the one here in Pocatello at the event center. We looked at it closer on what materials we can use. We found a different material that would be suitable, that does not cost as much as like a 3/4. It's about half. It's been screened and stuff. We've had some process to it, but it's around $20 a ton for us. I don't think our numbers are getting very high of what we're hauling in and stuff like that, so I still think it's a pretty minimal cost. But by doing that switch of materials, that's helping us out for the added depth that they have to dig. So we're still working on that with Daniel. But
well, that picture you sent out, I mean, there's not a single rock. Not a single rock. I mean, I can't dig 2 inches in my place without hitting rocks.
yeah, it's interesting around the Pocatello area too, and Shelby, because you get, like here, we dug by the one time repairing in this parking lot, and it was pure sand. And then you go down a little ways and it's the dinosaur egg boulders. So it's got some different stuff here. We've been opening roads. We've got them completed. So opening roads is we go to all of our non-winter maintenance roads, V them out, get them ready to start drying out for the farmers and everything through the summer. But we are completed with that and getting ready to go with some shoulder work. We've been doing culvert work, and then with our mag season, that'll be second week or so of next month. We'll start going into that. But the other thing, kind of the update is, you all know that we have the IA-15 project going on through income that the state is doing, and the road's closed, 91's closed under there, which we have. That process is, which you probably know, but they're changing the 3 southbound bridges this year and then 3 northbound bridges next year. One of the things I've seen and I've been talking with the state about is the complication of what they're doing with oversized loads. We do have a detour that's going through income, but that's for the small public people that live around there, not oversized. We have been getting a lot of calls from all the hauling areas of what to do. Our roads, we have one road that's kind of set up for that, and that's 91, which is closed. So we have not very much options for any kind of oversize. So we have not been approving any oversized permits. So it is a concern. There's a lot of people upset on that for the state and doing this, because there's a lot of people that haul to western states. Through there's quite a corridor for a lot of oversized permits.
So can you put together a plan and come back, since this isn't marked for any kind of decision, could you put together a plan and get back with us Tuesday or Thursday of next week? And
so what I was wondering is, to get kind of your recommendation on, I'd like to do some, with this construction going on and more traffic going towards our roads, is we've already seen, like on Income Road and a few of them, some of our roads are getting broke up and we're having damage. So I would like to come back to the commission and ask for weight limits on our county roads. We can do that through IDAPA regulations to be able to do the spring thaw to protect our roads from damage. That would consist of, what that would mean is we would do a weight restriction. How we have it set up is it says 350 pounds per inch of tire, because we're more concerned about each one of them tires, not the full load itself. What that would be is it ends up to be about 14,000 per axle with dual tires. If they're single tires, it'd be around 10,000. But once we set up a weight limit, it also, by law, it'll actually change the speed and the width. So your maximum speed will be 30 miles an hour for any of these vehicles, and they can't be over 12 foot 6 inches in width. But I feel that with some of these loads going, and especially how the roads are acting right now, if they move to the edge a little bit, we're going to tear up our roads.
so how do you enforce that?
So we sign it, we have to let the state police know, the port of entry know, the sheriff's department know, and yeah, we have to work with them, whether it's sheriff or with the state on the enforcement.
Okay.
So once them signs are up, that's a legal definition that we can cite them.
And do you know what the penalty is?
I don't.
So what's their choice? Coming down Marsh Creek Road from McCammon?
That's not considered one of our alternate routes, just because of, they look at, width of the road, structure of the road. One of the things that make the, old highway work is because of it's got that concrete base underneath it from when it was when it used to be the highway. And then the width is a lot wider, wires are higher, everything's built that way. So something like Marsh Creek is an alternate route, but to get in onto it and off of it, some of these trucks, say like by McCammon, it's Merrill Hill going off,
Yeah, down that.
that dugout,
Okay.
switchback. These trucks that are wanting to come through are 22 feet wide. Our road's only 24. So, I mean, they say they can have pilot cars, but you'd have to block the whole road the whole way through, because even if there's a car trying to pass them, if they move over one little bit, they'll rip out the whole side of the road.
So how are they gonna get through Incan? That's the only
Then
alternative.
you have income to try
We're
to
not
drop
issuing
off.
any permits. I mean, that's just,
I mean, that's their jurisdiction, not ours, but, I mean, if we send them down Highway 91, they still gotta go through Incan,
Yes.
or up over Rapid Creek. And that
The
ain't
only
gonna work.
thing that's
So-
different with 91 for income is once they hit income, it's a state road that's their, through the city. You know, from one on-ramp to the other on-ramp is a state road. So it's not necessarily under the city's jurisdiction if them trucks travel through there.
Yeah.
Well, can you get us information by Tuesday to do something?
Yes, I can bring it before you to get a decision on whether or not you'd like to implement the weight restrictions.
Okay, let's do that before it gets out of control.
Well, and my question, because I was trying to go to Downey yesterday, and they even had the southbound on-ramp closed by some big trucks. I couldn't even get on there. So I mean, they've got to do a better job of, because once you get them back on the freeway, there is one big lane that with pilot cars, you could move across the other bridge. But they had that on-ramp closed and backed up by some great big trucks. And so you don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about is if they're gonna block the southbound bridges, they gotta be really careful not to block that on and off ramps there. Because they really are limiting where you can go, and it caused me a little bit of delay getting where I was trying to go, so there aren't a lot of options.
It's like when they came in for the project to update the commission on the project going on, over in Chubbuck and stuff that's in the future. That's where I'm kinda at, is a lot of these things deal with multiple entities, and if they close something, there's a lot of
So who do
effect from
we
that.
need to have here on Tuesday for that discussion? ITD?
No.
Or just their contract?
It's just us.
Just us, okay.
Because they're good with, because I asked them, because this is the county jurisdiction, they're good with, so they have that 511 that the trucks are on for oversize and everything, and they have it on there right now, their alternate routes, and it's just nobody wants to go that far around, because
Time is money.
they're pretty big loops to get around this area.
Big loops.
and Kyle's been in contact with them almost
Right.
daily. One thing that I had Kyle do was put a dead end sign at the bottom of Indian Creek. And no trucks. I had a resident at the very top there that there was a semi come up there trying to avoid the port. And went up
Went up
Indian
Indian
Creek and
Creek?
there's no place to turn around except
No.
for a yard.
You're gonna back
Tore
around
out a bunch of
forever.
fences and stuff.
Okay.
So they put
Well,
a
and-
sign up there.
And like we talked about, we're seeing more and more trucks going through, like box trucks, going through like Income and then onto 91 and wondering what was going on, so we looked into it. So we talked to the state and see if we could do a couple more signage and stuff, so some of them are actually missing to stay on the interstate, the trucks. So they get off at Income, but then instead of going straight through Income and getting back on, they see the detour sign, which is for the local people, and so they start following it, which sends them through Income, around, and then they're at 91 going, now where do I go? So they are putting, today they were getting another message board and then another sign for inside of Income that said, if they did get off, that kind of keeps them moving straight, get back on the interstate.
Yeah, that'll help. Okay.
Then I visited with Kyle this morning. I went to the city council meeting of Income last night, and the discussion was that this highway project is gonna be hauling out of Steiner's Pit, coming along our roads, coming through the city of Income. There by the old school, they're gonna tear the fence out and enter the interstate right there. So these oversized loads, we gotta be concerned about.
They may have
And
to
then
open
that
up
pit.
another access somewhere through there, because
Well,
that's a mess.
we have a discussion about that pit too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you, Kyle.
Kyle.
We'll see you on Tuesday. And I'm going to make a slight adjustment on the schedule. Shanda, come on up. And you are on the clock. You said less than 2 minutes, so.
It's Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. Where's my green lights?
Go.
Brief procurement update. I just have a couple of new ones that we started for Road and Bridge as they get ready for their spring season. That would be chip seal aggregate. We're weighing the differences between potentially piggybacking or going out to bid. We went out to bid last year. We're going to kind of weigh those out and move forward with that one. Hot mix asphalt, we generally piggyback. We're waiting for those to come back in. And the road striping paint, we are going to combine those two into one this year, have a single contractor do that work, and we're going out to bid or drafting as we speak. We anticipate that going live next Thursday. The detention center, we have the diesel generator fuel tank. We decided to piggyback a Sourcewell contract on that one, and I anticipate getting those documents into legal for review by Friday. If we jump down to the one that I have open, which is the diesel generator installation, we did issue an addendum this Tuesday, and the bids are due on Monday on that one, so it's moving forward. And just an update on the magnesium chloride, we did approve that piggyback, and Road and Bridge is moving forward with getting on the schedule with Road Solutions on that one. Any questions?
You got 15 seconds to spare. Well done.
I love it.
No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right. What everybody's been waiting for. Fair Board, come on up. Good morning.
Here to give you an update. Everything is coming together so nice at the fairgrounds. There's lots of interest, and they're actually coming even to talk to us. It's not even us going out. We've got some new events that are coming, which has been really exciting. Everything's like looking great. We've been working hard. We're glad Farm Bureau is here to showing our support today, and also 4-H with Nikki is here as well. And Scott. So we have worked out a deal working with Scott with trading some panels and the water truck.
Is your feet clean?
Ish. So I had approached the Fair Board. They purchased a bunch of temporary panels, fence panels, a few years ago to try to block off some of the areas they were going to run concerts down there. The paid concert thing hasn't really been the most. It's very hard to do down there. So they have a lot of panels. We need some panels for the parking lot that we're going to do from the Idaho Power. They have enough panels, so we kind of, in agreement, worked out a trade where we would send down our old water truck, which is currently Road and Bridge, and they're going through it, tuning up, making sure everything's good to go on it, in trade for 180 of the fence panels. That saves us about $20,000. And so these guys were amenable to it. I think it's a pretty good deal. Although I do have some of my staff members that don't want to talk to me because I gave up their favorite water truck. So their board did talk about it, so something that we just need to bring to you guys to kind of ratify. And we can bring that in a future meeting, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, we need that written up. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and so now Zach's going to talk to us about an idea.
I'm Zach with the Fair Board. I just wanted to mention to you guys with the good things that are going on with the fair in Downey, we're seeing growth. And so what you have before you, Nikki so kindly put together some of the numbers that we're experiencing down in Downey. Things that we wanted to highlight, and Nikki had emphasized that there's about 16,000 youth that are of 4-H age in Bannock County, and they have reached 8,000 or 50% of those youth in that age range and have been involved with 4-H to some degree. We also wanted to emphasize the money that the community is putting into Downey Fair, specifically the 4-H auction. Back in 2016, the total monies that were spent was about $50,000, and just last year at our auction was $300,000 for spent by the community for these 4-H projects. Participants as well are increasing year after year. In 2020, we had 178 participants. Now, obviously, I like to talk about the animals, but more importantly, the animals is the kids behind them. And so in 2020, we had 178 participants. Last year, we have now had 359 participants in 4-H. We have a vision on with the fair is to be the providing leading venue for agriculture, exhibits, entertainment, and education, and providing a family atmosphere. That's our vision from the fair, and with Bannock County's vision to be found on the website, we feel like there's some overlay, and we'd like to work together as you guys would like to see sustainable, sensible development while enhancing rural, recreational, and agricultural character of the county. What we're proposing is that there is a fair maintenance budget that has money there that we would like to use up to 65% of that budget to work with Farm Bureau to put in a building that's going to accommodate the growth that we are experiencing at the Downey Fair.
Okay, I gotta stop you right there.
Yep.
It's the Bannock County Fair, not the Downey Fair. So please, that's one of my little nitpicks, so please, the Bannock County Fair.
Absolutely. We are doing advertising specifically through social media because we want to make sure the Bannock County Fair is well represented from all areas, both the rural and the more densely populated areas. We do want to mention as well, specifically there has been an increase in the breeding heifer range, and we now have 15 participants that are below the age of the 4-H activities doing a bucket calf. We have 15 participants that are now getting involved, and this is going to be the first year that we're doing that. And we've had people reach out and are signing up, and we'll probably continue to sign up. So yes, for the Bannock County Fair, we are looking at using some funds up to 65% of the fair maintenance fund, which we feel is going to provide a building, which we're hoping to do, which is about 100 by 200 feet. So 20,000 square feet of probably a dirt ground, and to be able to host events, not only for the fair, but venue for throughout the fair for other events. So with those funds, that's where the fair is coming and saying we'd like to try to push those funds, working obviously with sponsorship with the Farm Bureau. And if this is not the vision of Bannock County's board, we'd love to have your input on where those funds may be allocated to, so we can work together on making it great, continuing to make it great.
Couple of things. All those buildings down there are Bannock County buildings. They're not fair buildings. And so all that has to come through the commissioners. And we're in the middle of talking with the attorney, and we'll end up with an MOU of how everything's going to be situated. We have the other building that we're putting in there right now. All those monies are ARPA fund monies, which are county monies. So I'm 100% in favor of improving that facility down there. But the methodology and what the funds, what the buildings can be used for is going to be handled in this MOU that we're going to talk about. It's got to be, if it's for a fair event, which basically is something during the week of the fair or the month ahead of the fair, that's a fair event. All the other funds and monies like that go into, they can go into the fair monies if designated, but they're not part of the levy that is there for the fair. So we'll end up with that. And I've got our attorney, John, he's working on an MOU that we'll work out and talk about. I would like you to write this down, what your plans are, and so that it's going to be part of this next budget session. It's not going to happen right now and during this budget year.
It can't.
Yeah, the reserves can't be pulled out, so it's got to be brought before us in an organized plan so that we can look at our budget. We can say, okay, this is how it's going to work, and this is where the monies are coming from, and this is what any revenues made out of this is where they're going to go. I mean, I appreciate it. I love our fair board. I love that you're thinking in a whole different pattern than what we have. I appreciate going and looking for donations and partners and stuff. But, so I'm approving what you're doing, but I'm not saying that this is how it's going to happen. I still want to move forward. That's the way I feel about it.
And I've appreciated being in your meetings down there and learning. I appreciate, we need to recognize John and some of the others that are representing Farm Bureau here, and I think they're really wanting to be a willing partner. And as I stated last night, we just need a lot more detail, and I'm not sure it's there yet, because we got to have what is the long plan, not just that we need to replace some buildings, but replace it with what would be the county's exposure to that versus a sponsorship. I think that's what we're really looking for, is a defined plan. And again, it all has to be, because it is, and that Fair Nate's budget, and we talked about that last night, is a compilation of several years' growth in that. So it still needs to be, and you do have the authority underneath the statutes that you help manage those and everything else, but it's a partnership with the county. So I appreciate I'm all for that. I think it'd be wonderful and great, especially with the growth you've got with the youth, with the participation of the community. But how much, I don't know how you get to that, but how much is the financial exposure? Because if we can't see the numbers, I mean, how much is it? We talked last night, you were talking $400,000 or $500,000 possibly. I mean, we're not committing anything to any money. And how much is Farm Bureau willing to be a sponsorship and or other plans? Then we can sit down and look at, okay, what's the financial impact on the residual funds versus the future funds? And I think if we step forward in that positive direction, I think we can make something good happen. So does that give you any guidelines of where we're coming from?
I guess the hope from the Fair Board is that, yeah, we get your guys' support in being able to progress for more detailed plans. You know, we are looking at the funds with the Fair Maintenance Fund, and if you guys are okay with us kind of incorporating that into our detailed plans with Farm Bureau to come up with the plan, I guess that's where our hope is. And if you guys are thinking that would be appropriate usage of the funds, obviously we don't want to use the max amount that's available to us just for the you know, safety aspect of it. But but it will need some funds that are allocated in that particular line item, so.
Basically, you're talking about wanting to use reserves, correct? Right.
We are, yes, and if the board is willing to approve that, then we're happy to put the footwork in to making detailed plans, being able to have Farm Bureau discuss amongst themselves along with us and say, what do they hope to achieve from it, what do we hope to achieve from it, and to give you some more hard numbers.
What I'd like to see you do is take a two-sided approach. One, if we do nothing except go forward with what we've got, with existing buildings or whatever, with the growth, what are the limitations, what are the possibilities, and then take a second pro forma plan that would say, if we do this here with sponsorships, we might could attain further growth. I think we need to have you put those choices out there so it's visibly, because obviously if the money's going to be spent, what's the rewards for it? What's the return on it? Not only for the county, but for the residents down there, to the entire county. I think if you'll do that, I think it's going to be a lot easier for everybody to see it, rather than just talking clear out here, like we need a new barn to replace those 4 barns. Okay, if we don't do that, where are we going to be in 5 years? If we do this, and these are the new costs, here's the new opportunities available to us. It won't take that much effort to do that, but I think then we have something to sit down and discuss. That's how I feel about that.
Well, and I just know that those buildings, and you can talk to Dan because he's seen them. When I was down there talking to him the one day, and he pointed to the new sheep barn, and he says, dang, I wish that was sitting where those are, because they're in bad shape. So that's what scares me, is coming from the safety side of it. You know, we don't want it falling in on kids and animals.
Well, where we put the sheep barn is where they was leaning. Those buildings weren't in any better shape than anything else. They was actually leaning, and we pushed it up with the tractor the year of the fair, so that was a very big concern.
So I would promote that we visit with Dan, you visit with John, let's put together a plan that's a year or two, whatever it's going to take, the timetable, and give us those choices on the positive approach. Not like, well, if we don't do this, whatever. We already know what's going to happen if we don't do it, but what could happen. And I appreciate the numbers that you put together with the growth. That's tremendous. I applaud your efforts for that, and Nikki, and I don't think it will decrease, but is there something else out there we need to be looking at the same time? How can we use our wonderful county facilities, including the new exhibit hall, to literally put the best forward? That's how I would propose that. Scott, yes.
Two things I was going to just kind of clarify, I guess. So number one is a little bit of history. When we went down, maybe a year and a half ago, we did a tour of the facility and really looked at the needs. Initially, we talked about getting rid of the 4 barns and creating 1 barn, and then we ended up settling on the exhibit hall, which I think is a great addition. So I think that's where the original idea for getting rid of the 4 barns and coming up with 1 barn came from, that walkthrough, right? So that's, I think, where this plan is probably stemmed from, is that. So I think we have plenty of material to use to maybe help to articulate the plan, and to truly turn that 1 barn into a full multi-use barn, right? That panels that could be rearranged depending on the activities. The second part would just be some clarification. So the proposal, the plan you want presented during their budget hearing, is that what you're saying? So they can develop the plan as part of their budget? Is that the direction?
That would be the best part of it. I mean, we're going to be asking in a month for your budget.
Yes.
And so
if we just start walking down this path, obviously, like with any sponsorship opportunity we have, we really don't want to give away free money, right? So if we have an opportunity for free money, we want to try to take advantage of that while we can. So it's just a matter of kind of working out some of the kinks and answering some of the questions that you guys have both asked, and then just making sure we present it at the right time. So presenting it during budget with the detailed information we have, just to clarify.
And then my other request is, because it is a county facility, Dan is over all our buildings. He's got to be involved. I mean, to tell you the truth, if you look at, Dan really wasn't involved at first with the sheep barn. And that ended up a fiasco when we finally got everything going. And then with this other building, with the exhibit hall, Dan's been in the middle of everything, and he just knows all the ins and outs. So I would request that Dan is involved from stage one.
Okay.
One clarifying question. When we present this plan, it sounds like, as far as the benefits, would you like to know the financial benefits from putting in this kind of building? Okay, so could you expand on that a little bit? Are you wanting to know what events, or are you wanting to know what we're wanting to charge to use the facility?
That was your question.
You know, yes.
On both?
I think that's a general 5-year plan.
Yeah, and we talked about that last night. The question was coming up, where's Bannock County going to be in 10 years? Well, who knows on that, but I think if we're not thinking about that, we're not planning for that, then we're going to miss some opportunities. I think there is some events, you've already got some coming in this year, okay. Could that expand? Possibly, especially with a new building. And we already have the new exhibit hall. Holy cow, if that doesn't speak volumes about Bannock County being behind that venture down there. So I don't expect a 118-page document, but I think you could say, with a new building, we possibly could have more events every year. With doing that, it will bring in more revenue for the residents, more for Bannock County, for the youth. What could that building be used for? Use some vision there and say, based on other fairs or whatever, what could you do with that building if we had a new building? We're already getting all kinds of stuff with the exhibit hall, like, well, are you going to do this in there? And that's coming from the community. And so as a community, as a Bannock County building facility, with you guys helping all of that, what could we do with that? And I think that's what we're looking for. And I don't think we got to have a congressional record of this, just a few pages, maybe some. Well, I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that. But Farm Bureau wants to be there. They want to be committed to that. It would be nice if they had some involvement in this and saying, this is how it fills our mission. Here's how we see that we could help you participate in that. Use the outside sources you have available. We're not going to turn down money. And I just think if you'll do that, that gives us all a clearer picture about how all of us are going to move forward.
Yeah, we just have to start somewhere. So.
Yeah. And this is a good start. I've appreciated your board meetings and the effort and the thought that the board's coming up with. We just need to kind of channel that into where we all looking at the same vision. That's my opinion. I'll quit talking about that.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to offer some more help if I could and resources.
Well, as we kind of gather this, yeah, we'd love to use you as a resource and say, this is what we have, what else are you wanting for this, so we don't want to come unprepared.
Okay.
Especially with this being out for the next year anyway, we'd like to be as prepared as possible to try to get this approved. So.
Well, I appreciate the forward thinking, and I echo Commissioner Moser. Appreciate the board and all you guys do and the relationship that we've got going, so thank you. Anything else? Well done.
You want to update on the fair this year? Everything is pretty much planned. Looking for one entertainer Friday night. We've added an event which is going to be the Kids Ranch Rodeo, which will be Monday night right after the potato bar.
Cool.
But everything else is pretty much on track.
Still planning on the potato bar in the same spot.
Yep, same spot, and then we'll have the Kids Ranch Rodeo.
So you won't do the horse pull this year?
No, we're doing that.
And Dan said
that one.
And Dan said this building will be ready.
Yeah, good.
Didn't you say that, Dan?
It will be ready.
And just as a recognition, Zach is the one that's planning the Kids Ranch Rodeo, so appreciation for him for all the work he's doing on that.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And then Ken brought back from your meeting last month about a request for a shower or something, so that's in Dan. You want to comment about that at all?
I talked to Dallas a little bit, kind of an emergency situation, shower type thing. No problem, we'll get it in there.
I was just scared. I mean, I was on the safety committee at school, and all the eye wash stations and the shower in the teacher's bathroom, and I was like, it just scared me having him down there, and there's bleach, and there's acid from batteries, there's those things that I don't want him down there and no way to wash off fast, so.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Go forth, do great things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have anything you want to add to anything?
No, I just appreciate the Fair Board and the commission and since I've started here, it was 9 years ago, and the growth that I've seen with this fair, it's amazing. I came from a big fair over in Ada County, and this fair we're kind of busting at the seams right now, so, and I'm excited to see where it goes, so I appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, clean up after yourself.
All right, the last thing we have on this portion of the agenda is ratification of subpoena requests. I did sign these last week so we could get them out, so we could meet our deadline for our meeting at the end of the month. So I just need if there's any questions.
Well, since I brought it up, I'll make a motion to ratify the subpoenas that were signed.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
It took about 10 minutes for somebody to call back when they got it.
So it worked like it was supposed to. All right, on the consent agenda today, we have invoices, commissioners' reports, credit applications. We have some salary rate approval forms and a memorandum of authorization for accounts payable. Is there any questions on any of those items? Any discussion on anything?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I would make that motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
With that, that'll conclude the meeting for the day, and I think our